once again, this is the closing remarks from this sit down with Mr. Nolan Cox. I just cannot find words to express how happy I've been today to sit down with a Republican brother, a white European and a black man coming together on issues that we really believe in. And I tell you, you can say what you want, but we agree on this one. And I want to thank you. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You got me wrong. I'm not a European. I'm an American.
You're an American.
You're an American.
All right, now you're gonna tell me. Now, I like where you started this out, and I'm glad the camera's rolling, because if you may not remember, now you started this. Remember that, okay? But we're gonna deal with it for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Is that I remember when blacks was considered colored, you know, and so everybody that came from other countries, people would say they're Irish Americans, Jewish Americans, all like that. And all black people would say, well, we colored. And so when it came out that blacks could be called African American, or we accepted that, it made us feel like we was a part or included and equal to others. And so the reason why we use the term African American is because it gave us the same useful slogan, what have you, or saying as other people. And when people start saying African American, it seemed like it changed, and now nobody wants you to even use that. And now that we're called African American, we're not really African Americans. We shouldn't even use women. Now don't tell me what we're. I'm gonna let you talk about it. But we cannot be called African American because Africa itself was a European general that was in Africa, and that definitely does not associate with the African darker race of the continent itself. Now we can't resolve all the problems here, but let's just reel that in. I just threw that out because I just threw it out the way I did. But come on with what was the best thing that you think happened today between us communicating?
Well, we've got a mutual interest in government. My whole approach to government is to go back to constitutionally based government and get spending under control. A lot of the things in this SPLOST thing are frivolous. They want to spend $500,000 decorating an alley downtown. Another $500,000 to build a farmer's market when we've got 2 right down the road. That the city's going to compete with private enterprise. I just don't like to see tax money wasted, because when you pull money out of your pocket, out of my pocket, and put it over there in the government, it quits growing. When they put it into asphalt or buildings, then you and I have to pay the maintenance on that and the upkeep. If you leave it in circulation, I can hire people. I've got 11 employees. If I wasn't paying taxes, I could hire another guy and probably expand my business.
Let me ask you a question, because I've been wanting a Republican guy to answer this for me, and because we're going to stay away from. But let me ask you what I want. This is our clip. Is federal funds associated with DOT in the paving of roads, housing, and things of that nature? Are you saying that you want all the federal money to come out of those programs and for it to be handled strictly by private industry?
No.
As well as the farms. But farms get some federal subsidies too. I just want to know. I mean, that's just something I would like to know. Oh, we shouldn't be able to have the program. Okay, you
got more than one question.
All right, here's what I'm saying. Every entity, whether it's DOT, dealing with the pavement of the road, dealing with farmers.
Let's deal with roads first. You and I pay fuel tax. About, I think it's 17 cents a gallon. That goes to the federal government. It's supposed to come back to the states. Now they're keeping about 30% of it and doing other things with it. So the roads you're paying for by buying fuel don't come back to Georgia. They go somewhere else, and it's done through politics, not coming back to the source of the money.
Okay, going back to my question. See, I tried to keep it simple. I'm going to come back again, hopefully I can get an answer. So you want to cut other words, the federal government shouldn't get nothing.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't. That's my point. My question is, we either want the federal government in or we want the federal government out. So we don't want the federal government to have to do nothing with the pavement of the roads. Let individual states take care of the roads. That's what I'm saying.
That's where we're headed. Yes, and here's why. the states are collecting the tax money and sending it to the federal government, but it's not coming back.
Right, right.
And what you're going to see is the states, when they get hungry enough, they're going to cut that off.
Okay.
And quit sending. You got to build roads. You and I both know that. I don't have any problem with building roads, but I don't want to send road money up there and lose a third of it to political things sent to other states where they're trying to buy politics over those states and political favor. If it's our tax money, it ought to come back to our state.
Okay. Okay. So
On roads.
So you're saying that you don't want the federal government to have nothing to do with the paving of roads? Just let it be dealt with, be done by the state, and let every state handle their own. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm looking for. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Now, the farmers the same thing. In other words, keep the government out of the farming. If they have a dry year, or if they see where they don't need to produce no watermelons this year for whatever reason, then you're saying just don't let the government come in and subsidize nothing. Give nothing to any farmers. You on your own, Mr. Farmers. We're not going to do anything. Or
That's particularly in the vegetable farmers. That's the way it is.
Okay.
Now, some of the big crops like corn and soybeans, and this is a complex issue, and I tell you why it's complex. I worked in Europe in the agricultural chemical business. I was an international product manager for an agricultural chemical company. What Europe learned in World War I and World War II is that they needed to maintain their food production. Because if they don't, a lot of them had moved to Africa and was producing food in Africa and bringing it back to Europe. Well, when the war started, that got shut off. They about starved to death.
Okay.
Now, there is a strategic value of maintaining your food industry.
Okay.
So, if Brazil can grow soybeans better than us, we're competing on a world market, but the thing you don't want to do is shut your soybean production down and your manufacturing and the byproducts, because it's more complicated than just do we subsidize or don't subsidize. It's just like we drill and store oil in the ground. We've got a national oil reserve. With food, you have to keep your production facilities, your acre and farmlands. You have to keep some of that, and there is a point where you may need to subsidize.